weekend. I got a lot done. And then I saw this report and I was like, yes, I can't wait to do this.
The new Streamlabs report, boys. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2. Pay the bills with advertising. This podcast is sponsored by Restream. Why live stream to one platform when you can simultaneously live stream to every platform to discover new audiences faster using Restream.io?
The Q2 2020 Streamlabs report is up. We've all reviewed it, and there is a lot to cover, so we're not wasting any time. Let's start off with the attention grabber. Gentlemen, are there any shocking revelations or numbers that just stood out that you just got to get off your chest first?
All of them. I want to see all of them. I want to see how well Mixer did before it died. That's the thing I'm most interested in seeing today. How about you, Perrin?
Yeah, I mean, this is going up to like the very beginning of July. I think they posted this report on the 1st, so it's like right before that even happened. So we're gonna get to see the cumulative effect of multiple months of what happened with COVID-19 and the pandemic, and we're gonna see like what share of the pie each platform has shifted around in, and we're gonna see if some of our predictions are right or wrong today.
Let's do it, man. Let's just go straight to your screen and just show us the numbers. We have a new fancy pen, so you'll be able to draw on your screen. But look, here is the market share data. This is the Streamlabs Hatchet report for Q2 2020. And Perrin, walk us through which platforms gained, which platforms lost. What do streamers need to know when they're making decisions about Facebook gaming versus Twitch versus YouTube now that Mixer is gone?
So there's growth pretty much on all of the platforms. Grew massively, and quite obviously this is going to happen, right? Twitch is up from 3.114 million, which is actually what billions there, right? It's up to two more. It's gained the most growth. YouTube gaming is up from 1076 million to 15. Facebook's up 300 million. Mixer was actually up 20 million. It actually had the least growth, which makes sense as to why it's now gone. But the difference here is the piece of the pie, and this is what I wanted to highlight. Mixer went down, having its chunk of the pie be smaller of total hours watched. Yeah, it went up, but it didn't go up by as much as every other platform. Facebook stayed the same in terms of its chunk of the pie. It was 11% last quarter, 11% again. YouTube gaming went down. YouTube gaming went down here from 22% of the pie to 20, and actually we'll do a different color there so you guys can see it. But and then Twitch went up. Twitch is the only one, its piece of the pie went up again by about 2.6%. So from 65% to 67.6%. So there's two different numbers here. You guys got to look at them two different ways. All growth along the board. Every platform grew in terms of hours watched, but the shifting and moving between the platforms tells a different story.
Well, in terms of total hours watched here, just one thing that's really jumping out at me. You said that Facebook's total hours watched in Q2 of 2020 grew by 300 million. So it grew by like 30% in one quarter. That is a massive percentage of growth in terms of that platform. So that's the number that really stood out for me there. And what really sucks for Mixer is that Mixer's total hours watched grew too. It broke over 100 million finally. It was stuck down there in peasant numbers last time, but they're dead now. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, it's going to be funny when we look at the numbers, and we'll get down to them here, but Mixer was doing really, really well actually before they decided to quit. And I mean, likely it's just due to the pandemic, but it's funny because their numbers are finally going up, and then they just decided to quit everything. So towards the end there, it almost looked like it was going to be promising, but it's like it wasn't enough. It was too little, too late, I guess, for them.
Yeah, I think it's also worth getting your opinions on. I feel like this is a steroids in baseball type situation. We need a giant COVID asterisk next to some of these numbers. How much do you think that's affecting it? I mean, I almost feel like it's unrealistic to assume that this is all going to stay this way, although I think that the growth will continue to go up. But how likely, in a year from now or 2 years from now, are we going to still see these kind of numbers?
I mean, they're going to go down significantly, I think, once COVID goes away. But I don't think that COVID's going away in the next year. I mean, it's going to be here at least until summer 2021. minimum. I mean, they're talking about maybe having the vaccine by the end of 2020, and then it'll take 6 months to roll it out minimum. So we're looking at summer 2021 with COVID going away. So this is a medium-term phenomenon, in my opinion. So does it really matter what happens in a year from now with streaming? Like, who cares? That's in internet years, that's forever from now. So this is basically forever, in my opinion. That's the way I'm kind of looking at it.
Yeah, I do down some numbers here real quick, and then we'll move on. But just so you guys get an idea of the massive size, I mean, Twitch getting 4 times the growth here that YouTube Gaming has. YouTube Gaming and Facebook being very, very close. But take a look at Mixer. I mean, Mixer only growing 20 million. It's obviously not competing at this point. Facebook is blasting Mixer in its strategy. So yeah, I mean,
Twitch is getting the lion's share of the hours watched growth. I mean, 2,000 million. That's what 2 billion. I don't know. I'm terrible at numbers, but they got more growth. Twitch got more growth in terms of viewership than all of the other platforms combined times 2. That's all you need to know right here. Let's move past total hours streamed. Move past over total hours streamed, and let's go over to unique channels as the next thing we're looking at.
You want to go down the whole? Okay.
No, just to unique channels. Yeah. This
is a fun one.
Whoa, this one's fun. Okay. How did the number of streamers change from Q1 2020 to Q2 2020? Ross mentioned the COVID phenomenon. Obviously, Q2 was half full COVID, and then we kind of went back to work, but COVID was still going on. So how did these numbers change? So
growth across the board. Yeah. Pretty awesome growth across the board in terms of unique channels here compared to the last quarter. So Twitch up by, looks like 3 million. And I'll try to put it all here this time for you guys. This looks like it goes up by 3 million. YouTube Gaming is up by about 200K. Let's see, Facebook is up about 70K, which is probably, I think, the smallest here, but we'll see. Mixer was actually up by 1 million.
Mixer being up by 1 million is actually surprising. It looks like, look at the giant mover here again. I cannot believe it. I guess I should believe it, but I cannot believe Twitch acquired 3 million new streamers. It acquired more streamers than all of the other platforms combined, almost times 3, times 2.5. Twitch is just vacuum cleaner, sucking up the entire market. Not only are they sucking up all the talent here, 3 million new streamers this quarter, they also sucked up the viewership with more viewers than all the other platforms combined. I'm blown away by the strength of Twitch as a platform at the moment. This is just absolutely crushing.
Yeah, so here's some percentages going around too on the difference between the different platforms and how things panned out. Mixer went down in its shares. Down by about 5%. Twitch went up by about 6%. YouTube Gaming is down by about 2.5%. And Facebook is up 0.2%. So it gives you an idea of like where the moving and shaking went on.
Got it. Ross, you were making some predictions in a previous episode about, or we were making predictions about how many of these Mixer live streamers are real or not. Or like as in, are they Xbox streamers? Are they going to move over to other platforms? Now that we know that there were actually 5 million, we were saying 4 million based on the last report. Now that we know there were 5 million streamers on Mixer that are now homeless, how do you feel based on the numbers you're seeing right now? Where do you think they're going to go? Where is that 5 million going to go? Because there's going to be a huge redistribution of streamers.
Yeah, my order stays the same. I think we all had the same order. I think we went Twitch, YouTube Gaming, then Facebook Gaming. And then DLive. So God, 5 million, that's such a huge number. I still feel, I feel like my prediction, overthinking about it over the weekend, I feel like my prediction of saying half of those are just no longer going to exist was probably a little exaggerated. So I'm going to take that number up. So we're looking at 5 million. I think we're going to only look at maybe 1 million, maybe 1.5 million that just kind of fade away into the dust. But it's hard to argue right now that the vast majority of them, if they're paying attention to this show, which the vast majority aren't, unfortunately for them, Twitch seems to be the clear-cut favorite here.
That's insane. Perrin, where do you think the 5 million going to go really quick? Just to get a quick update based on these new numbers here. I mean, acquiring 3 million streamers in 1 quarter, that is ridiculous. I think that's the biggest streamer acquisition in the history of streaming in 1 quarter. I've never seen any numbers like that before.
Yeah, it's there's just been insane growth across all the streaming platforms in these past couple of months because everyone's at home and they need something to do. And this, it's kind of great that this media type exists, that live streaming is a thing, and we have this form of entertainment, but not just a form of entertainment. It's also a form of sharing and something to do. We can get out there and connect with other people in this content format. In terms of predictions, Twitch is going to get a ton. I mean, Twitch is definitely going to bring home the bacon. I mean, Twitch being number one always gets the most of everything, and it's going to continue to do so. Facebook's going to do pretty good. I think it's going to jump up number 2 here, and it's finally going to beat YouTube Gaming at some growth here in the next 3 months. But YouTube Gaming is going to get a little bit too, but I think you'll see these positions switch for unique channels. Well, you won't see them switch yet in terms of here, but in terms of share, you'll see a switch where YouTube Gaming isn't gaining quite as much as Facebook, but Facebook won't gain enough to beat YouTube Gaming's unique channels yet. So it's not going to gain more than 1 million of those 3 million. I liked Ross's prediction from a previous episode. We said a lot of those 3 million streamers just won't be streaming anymore. A lot of them are just going to stop because part of the ease of Mixer was its use of features and just streaming straight from your Xbox. If that doesn't move over to Facebook, then we just won't see them stream anymore.
Makes sense. We're going to do full analysis of all these numbers in future episodes on platform by platform because there's so much to digest. Let's move past total hours watched thingy there. Let's move down to the average CCV per platform if we can take a look at that. Okay, yeah, actually we can just do that let's just go per platform now. We'll go back and look at the top games and all of that in later streams, but let's just take a look at the Twitch juggernaut stats because that's what everybody wants to know. How well is Twitch actually doing? What are we looking at here? Twitch total hours watched since Q2 2018. Let me move us over here. But wow, look at these numbers. Holy but Jesus. If anybody was worried about Twitch getting actual viewership right now, look at that number. Holy moly. 3 million in Q1 2020 up to 5 million or 5,000 million, whatever the hell that is. About 5 billion hours watched. Good Lord. Can you spot the pattern here? Twitch is on the rise. The viewership is on the rise. It's absolutely insane. Unfortunately, you now have to compete with 9 million streamers, likely going to go over 10 million in the future if you actually want to be viewed on this platform. And as Jay Deuce is pointing out in chat here live on YouTube, the biggest problem with Twitch is there's no algorithm to be discovered. How the hell are you even going to get discovered in a platform with 10 million streamers? We were joshing on Mixer before for having 4 million. What about 10? What about 11 or 12 in the next quarterly report? What do you guys think about that? Is this viewership increase large enough on Twitch to make up for how much competition you're going to run into?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we'll see
basically, yeah. It's insane growth, right? Maybe, yeah.
I mean, we'll see how many unique channels have been added here too. But I mean, when you're jumping from a month over month growth, actually a quarter growth. So this is 3 months. In 3 months, it took Twitch to get 500 million new total hours watched. It quadrupled to 2 billion. And when you start to get into the billions, like you start to get into a different scale of number here, where there's just so many more people watching. Now I expect this to plateau a little bit more, but I mean, not for a while. I think for the next 2 quarters, you're going to see upward trajectory growth here of total hours watched. And then it'll eventually start to maybe flatten out. And then if we ever can get, as the world can never get past the pandemic completely, I think when everybody goes back outside and if that does end in a good way, then those numbers will actually start to fall back off. I think this is an inflation period that will technically be temporary, but it totally depends on the world's response. And so far, there's been so many areas that have had a challenge response to it that they're stuck, and this is going to be a thing for a while.
If only Twitch developed an algorithm to help you get discovered with all those hours watched, imagine what the platform would do for streamers. If only they could do an algorithm like, say, every other platform. But for some reason, they can't. All right, let's continue to look through the Twitch numbers here and see what else we can see. I want to just quickly, obviously, hours streamed. Looks like we don't have to analyze this deeply, but looks like hours streamed went up in tandem with hours watched, so that's good. Go ahead and the thing that's really insightful to look at, if you can just scroll all the way down to the bottom, or scroll down so you can see the unique channel spiking there. That just gives everybody an idea of the competition. Unique channels jumped from, what is that? I mean, just look at this time last year, guys. It was at 5 million. Then it dunked down to 4 million. And then it skyrocketed the heck up to 9 million on Twitch. I mean, geez, I talk about that zombie horde analogy here. I don't know. Do you think that analogy is still appropriate, Ross? I mean, it's basically like the entire city of New York, the whole Manhattan tri-state area is just zombie horded onto this platform and is just hitting live. It's crazy.
Almost 6 million in less than a year. Like, that's just stupid numbers. Like, it's really even difficult to make predictions for it or analyze it, really, just because it's such an obtuse number. It's something that we've never seen before. And there's nothing that we can compare it to say, okay, well, this happened here, so this may happen here. No, this is a completely unique situation that I think is just going to take some time to kind of figure out and see where it goes.
That makes sense. But here's the big number I want to look at for all the platforms, for everybody today. It's that average CCV for each platform. And so that average concurrent viewers at any given time, seeing how that trends lets you know, there it is. Lets you know what the actual total size of the pie is for you as a streamer. How many viewers could you acquire? And Perrin, this is really interesting. Twitch has stayed about at the 1 million-ish range, 1.2 million-ish range, all the way through the end of last year. It's basically stayed the same. Now they finally broke out. They finally broke out to over 2 million here. It looks like just this year, they almost doubled their viewership on the platform, almost doubled the available concurrent viewers at any given point. I mean, so this is the ultimate number. This is why you guys tune in later into the streams. This is the money number right here. This lets you know what the total size of the pie is. Twitch's total size of the pie is 2.3 million average concurrent viewers you could potentially get at any given moment. That's absolutely preposterous.
So it's almost 1 million concurrents plus, you know, with so many more, with so much more viewership, what we say 2 trillion viewership. And then, you know, there's only 2 million. Let me scroll back up here and see really quick. Actually a little bit more, like 4 million new unique channels, almost 1 million unique concurrent viewers. Makes sense. There is a lot more viewership here than there is competition, actually. Like, if there was ever a period to go into Twitch and like finally get some concurrent viewership, now is like one of the rarest times, because I don't think, and let me know what you guys think, but I don't think we see this upward trend without the pandemic. I mean, I think Twitch continued.
No, this is 100% pandemic for sure. This is a pandemic related thing, of course.
Yeah, like it would have continued to go this way, but I think you still would have seen, you know, with these market moves, if Mixer had still died and everything, you would have seen the growth of people watching and the growth of new streams, and streamers being added, but not the concurrent viewership. So Twitch would have grown, but it would have been even harder. Now, this is like the best case scenario, and I hate saying that because it's because of a pandemic, and obviously that's not a good thing, but it's created a nice opportunity for streamers to enter in and to get something out of Twitch. If you ever wanted to make it on Twitch, now, like, and we were saying this the last time, we did this report the last quarter, but it's still really a good time to be jumping into Twitch to try to get some viewership. I don't know if we'll have another opportunity like this in a long time. And I think that this is going to last a while. It's going to last at least another quarter, if not 2, I would predict. So you've got time too to really sink in and to gain viewership out of the platform. I mean, we should all, if you're interested in live streaming at all, this is the time. there's probably not going to be another situation like this for years once this is over.
Makes sense. And really the best way to approach it, like we've been talking about, is just restream on all of the platforms. And you see Parent and I's fancy t-shirts, restream.io. It's backwards for you because I have mirrored video, but it says restream.io. They sponsor our podcast. We use Restream to broadcast this show on YouTube, D Live, Facebook, Twitter, and Mixer too, before Mixer dies. And if you guys are interested in streaming on all platforms, so you can take advantage of literally everything out there, Restream's the best opportunity to do it. There's a link in the description of our YouTube video and also in our bios. You get $10 off your first month. You can also use code DROP25 at checkout, and you can just straight up get 25% off Restream.io, courtesy of the show. Please use our link so we get credit for you guys downloading, because we want to keep this sponsor. We love Restream. Okay, now let's take a look at YouTube gaming total hours watched since this thing started. We got less than 10 minutes here.
We got to go quick now. Yeah, I'm not going to do the separate numbers, but let's just hit each one here pretty quickly and show the growth.
Yeah, I want to look at hours watched and then CCV for each, and then we got to kill the episode and come back to these numbers later. So total hours watched. What's going on here? I mean, this is a pretty mega increase too. Not Twitch caliber, but pretty large.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the numbers going up quite quickly. The quarter before, it was not that much of a growth, and now I think this might be the biggest growth YouTube gaming has ever seen. And looking back here, I don't see anything as steep as this. I mean, this is the most growth YouTube gaming has ever seen. So this is good news for them. They've been positively affected by the pandemic as well.
Makes sense. So for our audio listeners, we're talking about YouTube right now. So YouTube went up by basically 50% in terms of the total hours watched from Q1 of this year to Q2. So that growth is substantial. But as some folks are pointing out in our live chat on YouTube, YouTube streaming will always be a secondary priority for YouTube. So it's going to continue to be kind of a mid-tier performer moving forward. We still haven't seen the announcements from Shroud and from Dr. Disrespect, who supposedly was banned from every platform, I don't know, and Ninja on where they're going to go next. And so I think if one of them goes to YouTube, we could see a weird situation with YouTube's numbers when we look at the next report. A lot more streamers, for example, might come over if Ninja's like, I'm streaming on YouTube. But let's look at the CCV on YouTube to see those average concurrent viewers and that total portion of the pie that is available on YouTube. Now, let's remember, Twitch had 2.1 million CCV, 2.1 million average concurrents available at any time. What does YouTube look like right now?
I mean, the average CCV looks good. It's gone up the most it's ever gone up as well, up 200K. So not like a huge number comparatively to Twitch, but compared to itself in the past, this is the best that they've ever seen. Real quick, I think we have to put some context here the unique channels grew by about the same amount as well, like almost the exact same amount, I think here. So the number of channels increased by just as much. So you've got like a very linear growth of people coming into the platform and viewers watching the platform on YouTube. It's like the most consistent, I would say.
Good middle of the road platform, don't you think, Ross? I mean, YouTube just seems like it's the consistent workhorse here.
Yeah, it is. I honestly don't have too much to add to this. I mean, I think we kind of, after looking at the Twitch numbers, I think we kind of knew what was coming with the YouTube concurrent viewer numbers. So,
yeah, no surprises. YouTube is just being a consistent growing platform as it always has been. Okay, cool. Let's take a look at the next one. Facebook gaming. Here's the crazy platform. The one we love so much. The one I went live on last night and got 5,000 people to watch me, which was cool. So Facebook's total hours watched going up by even more than YouTube, actually. So this is pretty substantial growth. I mean, just look at this linear growth. Nonstop. Like in about what you're looking at here on the screen with Facebook is about a year. We started out with 164 million hours watched, and today we're at 822 million hours watched on Facebook. So talking about percentage growth over time, Facebook has just grown from a teensy-weensy little platform in about a year to now one of the top 3 players. And it's just on the rise. It's on the way up. What do you think about this, Perrin and Ross? Do you think this trend will continue as we move into Q3?
Here's the thing in this trend. I mean, look at the angle. It's like this Facebook gaming has been probably the least affected by COVID-19. If you look, its trajectory that it was going at before is not actually a whole lot different. It's slanted up a little bit more, but it was already going up about that angle. I think it's increased a tiny bit, but like Facebook was already going to go through the roof, and it's already going at an insane growth rate in terms of total hours watched. It's interesting. I think when you see all of the situation die down eventually, and hopefully we do sooner rather than later, we see COVID-19 go away, or we have a better solution to it. I think you'll see Facebook gaming continue to have a great trajectory where the other platforms kind of come back down. Because look at it from its beginning of Q1 2019, it's had this sharp incline, and it just keeps going, and it's been going ever since.
Yeah, I agree. Well, one thing to take into consideration here is if you really want to take COVID out of this, if you want to see what the numbers really look like, go back and look at 2019 Q1 through Q4. And that's kind of where you can see where the path it was going. If you want to remove the current trajectory of it just based on COVID, I think that's acceptable. But I think another thing to take into consideration with Facebook is what's going to happen with this mixer thing. Just to make a projection about are these numbers going to consistently rise, or is it just going to eventually get up top and then just bottom out? I think it's too hard to tell. We have to see what their real plan is with the acquisition of Mixer before we can really judge. But I think even with that acquisition, just going back and looking at 2019, like what you said, Perrin, I think there's definitely at the very least going to be continuous steady growth.
That's a really good point. Looking at pre-COVID numbers tells you how healthy the platform was prior. It's true. And that's really, really interesting. I never really thought about it that way. YouTube didn't have very healthy pre-COVID numbers.
No.
And then it got healthy when COVID happened. But Facebook did have healthy pre-COVID numbers. And so it kind of lets you know that their foundation is really solid. That's a really good point. Ross, you should host the show.
I'm so busy.
You're so busy right now, but
something just came up.
Our stream looks like it's pretty consistent there, right, Perrin? Let's take a look at the CCV for Facebook, and let's see what this total size of the pie is on this platform. And okay, looks like it's growing consistently. It is much smaller than the other platforms, though, right?
Yeah, we haven't even hit 1 million here yet. We're up by a little bit over 100,000, and that's not a lot of concurrent viewership growth. But if you look at the views total, though, I mean, the views. So what the story told by Facebook is not everybody on Facebook gaming is watching the live streams necessarily. It hasn't just exploded really in concurrent viewership. It's really exploded in just viewership as a whole. So the videos afterwards of the live stream are viewed a lot more. And I found this with my own tests, on the platform where sometimes I get more viewership off of the video that is a result of my live stream than I do in the live stream itself.
Me too.
Which is a much different story than what happens on almost every other streaming platform. Think about what happens on Twitch. You go live and it's all about your concurrent viewership. And then afterwards, you don't really get much, if anything at all, unless you do a really good job at clipping. You don't really get much. Your videos afterwards don't mean anything. The only other platform where they do is YouTube. YouTube actually obviously is really, really good at that. But that's really important because you spend a lot of time into producing this content. To get mileage out of it after you're live is a huge benefit that I think a lot of people are underlooking on the platform. I mean, the fact that total viewership is up that much, and maybe concurrent's not great, but concurrent is definitely growing. I mean, look at the trajectory. It's gone up a little bit. It's the same story, though. It was really healthy beforehand. It's the exact same story. So I'm pretty excited about this. The fact that you can stream and the producing video afterwards still gets you results, still helps you grow in some way.
Ross, take us out of here. Host Ross, Get us out of here. We're going to come back and analyze more of these numbers later. But today, Ross, get us out of this live stream.
We are out of here. Go watch all the replays on YouTube. Listen to the audio on every podcasting platform, Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Tune in wherever you want. We will be back tomorrow. We're going to keep covering more of this. And we've actually got some more actual proof about what we've been talking about with Facebook gaming. And I'm going to bug you guys about that tomorrow because I want to hear about your numbers.
Yeah, our numbers, we've been kind of blowing up on Facebook gaming right now. I'm just saying.
Just a little bit.
Just blowing up just a little bit. We're going to share some of that. Also, I think we have to do a per platform analysis based on these numbers. We just kind of breezed over them today. There's a lot more to dive into. We'll see you in the next episode of The Digital Drop. Adios. Happy streaming, to copy that other guy.